people all over the world that look at us as the number one problem because we're trying to police everybody.
But I think we were talking about like just the need for a therapist. Like it would be great if people had the early supports and the social supports to where we didn't feel like everybody has to go see a therapist, because you could be, you know, in your screwed up household growing up as a kid, be like, hey, so this is kind of screwed up. Like maybe we can fix this while we're here, instead of like 30 years down the line when you're like, oh, I have all these anger issues. And
Right.
So World War II was bad. There was good countries and bad countries. There was countries that were invading and taking over other places. There are bad governments that kill tons of people, right? So there's good and bad in the world. If you let the bad countries win, we end up in a worse world, right? Would you trade your spot right now to go live in China? Would you trade your spot right now to go live in Russia?
Hello, family and friends. Welcome to another Talks with Remedy. This is available to the billions around the world on YouTube in 4K and audio streaming services like Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And now onto the podcast. In front of a school at 3 p.m., there's hundreds of parents sitting outside in their cars waiting to pick up their child.
They're little rats, yeah.
Yeah. So is that just hundreds of people times the hundreds and thousands of cities out there where parents are just sitting around waiting to pick up their children?
Yeah, is it hundreds of not busy people enabling weaker, softer, incapable students?
Wait, are we making these? How old are these kids? Are we talking like 5, 6 years old? We're making them hoof at home, or
Yeah, when I was a kid,
okay,
my parents both worked 2 jobs, and
I was in the same boat.
Yeah.
Where I came from, again, you know, it's the 80s. My mom, she was a single mom. My dad was not there to help. Grandparents were just like, you're on your own, kid. And
good to see you.
yeah, and it was me and my sister. She was 3 years younger than me. And I scared away the babysitter. So by 3rd or 4th grade, it was me walking her home. We'd have to go to the house, lock the door, and just wait till my mom got home at 5:30. You know, so there was about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours to where, you know,
don't light the house on fire.
yeah, exactly. And the thing is, though, she's like, don't have people over. I'm like, all right. And of course people were coming over, you know what I mean? We were like, you know, we were kids, you know, so we're
Party
just playing, we're playing tag around the house and everything, but it's like, yeah. So I understand where it's like, there is this idea where, yeah, of course things were different during our times, but I also believe with the internet and all that stuff, you know, how many times you open up a paper and how many kids are dying every single day? Are they happening in your neighborhood? Are they happening in your city? Or, you know, how many of these kids are getting snatched up every day? You hear of, you know, sex trafficking happening here in Las Vegas. I believe the 2 highest places in America were like Las Vegas, and my hometown was Toledo, Ohio. It's like, they're just snatching kids, just snatching kids.
Wait, you're the common thread between all this.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. All these people on the internet are going to jump in there. Where's this connection to Epstein? Here's Brandon shaking hands with Hillary.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, dude, it's just, so I understand the fear. I understand the fear of like, let me just make sure that I'll just go right to the school. And, you know, there's a lot of parents out there where, you know, if a mom prefers to stay home, or if a dad nowadays, you know, prefers to stay home and just keep the house clean and make sure that the kid's educated and having their attention needs met, then, you know, that's the arrangement. So I don't know, man. I really don't know what the answer is.
I think as society's getting more advanced, we get more luxuries, and one of the luxuries is
choosing your gender.
No. For parents that have the free time.
Yeah, why can't I choose a bigger gender? Like, your dick's small. Oh, yeah, that's not what I think.
I'd like to identify as a linebacker.
Right, please. Yeah.
440.
440, what?
The combine time.
Oh, yeah, Jesus. That's a first rounder for sure.
So I think it's a luxury, whether it's good or bad, whether it's creating a good society or not. I don't know.
I could tell you what's really bad is the people that are there at the crosswalk with the stop sign. I think that's actually detrimental.
Like, okay, again, how old are we? For what age?
Any elementary school kid crossing the street.
Okay.
By the time you're 6, You need to figure out there's cars in the street, you're going to die.
Yeah, but again, the problem is there's a lot of kids out there that don't have parents. So what ends up happening is those kids run out into the streets. They don't learn those lessons. And now all of a sudden you have more.
You learn when Billy gets run over.
Well, that's the thing. But the problem is what ends up happening. Do we always overcorrect? So what ends up, Billy gets ran over. Now all of a sudden every parent starts identifying with Billy's parents. Now we got to make sure that we stop this from ever happening again. Now all of a sudden, they're coming up with something even more extreme.
But now you got 8 more unproductive people standing there with a stop sign in front of a stop sign.
Okay, yeah, but they're 70. So it's like, what else can they do, man? I mean, it's like some of these people just want to get out there and just be in the sun and have a purpose. If they're a 70-year-old
duplicate a stop sign?
Yes, of course.
So that kids can learn to not pay attention? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's so they could stop vehicles and feel like they have power. We have to make sure that our elderly know that they still can contribute.
Here's the effect is we now have people who don't look up when they're crossing the street. They're literally looking at the phone, crossing the street.
Well, that's a product of technology is what we were talking about.
And not being afraid of cars.
You're right. But my problem is now we have people, oh my God, we just went through with my girlfriend's daughter. We took the tablet away, or she tried to go for the tablet. We're like, hey, you watched it enough last night. This kid went off, and my nieces do the same thing. My buddies' kids, they do the same thing. It's like we are seeing that there are problems with taking away these pieces of technology that we've
addiction machines.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like you're talking about people not looking up and stuff. It's exactly. It's a product of all this. But the thing is this, and the reason why we have so many crosswalks is because it's a product of all this, all the fear we put out there. How are we going to be able to protect the kids? Crosswalks, and then all the parents come to the rescue and they think they're helping. Now, do we know they're helping or not? It depends.
No, we're making stupider Americans.
Okay. Well, yes, of course. That's what happens when we're relying on technology.
That's my point.
that we need smart people to make. You see what I'm saying? It's so, oh my God.
This is why I rev my engine when I see people not paying attention. So wake them up a little bit. Hey, look out. This truck might run you over. It's like a public service announcement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It helps.
One person at a time.
I'm just thinking. I don't know. I'm trying to think of. So I mean, we are
whether you want to join the dark side or not.
Yeah,
we are America. We are number one in the world in economy. We produce some of the most advanced technology. So this is just. You
know who's doing it? Our immigrants. It's not the natives.
What do you mean?
All our computer scientists, all our biologists, all our scientists. They're Indian, Chinese. They come from other countries. They're not born in Toledo. There's not Las Vegas. There's not a whole bunch of Las Vegas people going to Harvard.
Hey, man, but you know what? I mean, Steve Jobs was born here in America. I mean, you're going to find that guy. You're going to find that one groundbreaking person. And usually when the groundbreaking technology comes along, then that's when you start making all these little tweaks to it. That's why there's always something new with the new iPhone. Well, they try to anyway. They try to make it sound like there's something new with it, but they don't.
It's more expensive.
Yeah, exactly. It's more expensive. But look what we did. We added even more pixels to the camera. And it's like, oh, whoa. I can see, So you got to pretend to be excited about it. But yeah, it's always these little tweaks. That's what's happening. And
does the phone have 8 cameras now?
That's what I'm saying. It's like now you got like a fish lens. It's like you got all these different. It's nuts now, man.
Yeah, I support tougher Americans.
I definitely support that. But at the same time, though, it's like we're talking about what would happen if somebody took your phone and dunked it in the water or threw it in a lake. You'd be fuming pissed. But would it make you tougher? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, but at the same time, how am I going to be able to Google who's leading the league in rebounds this year? It's like, I'm not going to be able to know that right off the top of my head, but.
Yeah. Well, no, the difference is, do you then handle that problem? Do you go to the phone store and figure it out? Or do you go home and cry and complain to the internet that your life is so miserable?
Well, it depends on what type of person you are. I mean, if you're the type of person that's going to jump on the internet and complain about how miserable your life is because you lost your phone, you're not an effective, productive person. Well, it just kind of shows me that you're not making enough meaningful relationships in your life. You know what I mean? Because if you just want to go out there and bitch and just have a bunch of strangers go, oh, so sorry, oh my God, or tell you to toughen up or whatever, you know what I mean? Putting yourself out there. It's like, that's always been your victim mentality. That's always been your style. You're always waiting for someone to kind of do the work for you. And then you could come along halfway through and go, oh, see, I did all of it, man. This is my job. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, no, it's just not the way it works.
I think a tougher America isn't fixing the root of the problem. I think the root would be somehow to actually get smarter Americans.
Yes.
Education has always been the key.
But you can be smart and lazy.
But I think I hope the more when you bring the median of smart up, there will be people that understand more to be tougher. Or I mean, you could still be
useful, be productive, be worthwhile.
Well, I agree with that. I think what it is, though, is let your intelligence go towards something that means something. Don't just, you know, it depends. I mean, it's like this person might be a master at pop culture. Well, if I'm in a situation where I need that person, they're considered a genius at the moment, you know what I mean? Yes. But if I'm stuck with my car and there's something wrong with the carburetor, I'm like, hey, what's wrong with this car? And they're like, hey, did I let you know that the Beatles' first drummer was Pete Best? I'm like, what? Shut up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need that. But unfortunately, it's like now with the way the workforce has been settled, it's again, no matter what, the people that put their head down and battle through the bullshit and don't let the distractions get to them, they always come out on top. And the people that don't will sit there and call those people sellout. They'll say, oh, yeah, but look what they did. I'm not going to do that. Well, then have fun not making any money at the job that you hate. And that's the problem. It's like people don't ever want to point the finger at themselves. You have to look at yourself and see where you're going wrong. I know where I'm wrong. I know every time I've ever screwed up.
I'm wrong a lot.
That's what I'm saying. I am wrong so much. But the one thing that I do well is when I find something that I'm into, or when I find something that I'm into and I want to proceed with, I will give it all and I will sacrifice a lot for it. Friends, family. I'm not saying I'm going to sacrifice them at an altar, but time with them. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
I'll sacrifice them at the crosswalk.
Right? Exactly. I'm like, sorry, Mom. You know, but I really want to learn how to rollerblade. But it's just, but sacrificing time here and there just to kind of get better at my craft.
Yeah.
People don't understand that. People think they could take on all these things at once, and they can't. You know, just make sure you itemize your life, and then.
Yeah.
Get where you want to go.
Renee coming in hot. Oh, or not yet.
So your topic that you brought up, or when you're saying that you know your what you've done wrong or your flaws, you just said earlier.
Yeah.
I feel like America's missing that. That's me personally. I don't know if I'm right on that. I feel like all the people I've interacted through my life, most Americans just do not think about their actions if they don't reflect if those actions have negativity around it, how it can negatively affect others. And there's good and bad of that. I think Americans that embrace that and don't think about it, I think you could like create some iPhone device where you just stare down and you don't think about other people. And we make cars that are so easy to get in and out. We have all these cup holders in the cars. I know that sounds silly, but that's a luxury where I think you have to think about yourself to make those things.
Absolutely. Well, for example, I love Las Vegas. When I leave Las Vegas and go to Ohio, I am raging pissed because I can't go to the grocery store at 10:30 in Ohio. You know, I got to buy liquor. I can't buy liquor on Sundays. It's like there's all this garbage, you know me, but apparently...
Burn this place down.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently it works for them. So, you know, and again, like whenever you try and come up with a distraction that I believe that takes away from the problem, you know, it's crazy. It's like bringing attention to the problem has benefits and it also has its detriments. I think so much talk about mental health. I agree with that so much. Everybody should be going to a therapist. Everybody should be kind of doing some kind of a self-help thing. But at the same time,
no, what if I'm already perfect?
But there you go. And it's like, but at the same time, bringing up mental illness, there's so many people out there that just self-diagnose and they expect the world to revolve around their problem. No, it's not. It's not my problem. I've got obsessive compulsive disorder. Well, who told you that? Well, I mean, I'm textbook. Look, and they'll pull up a website that lets them know.
Look, I wish we had a mental health expert around.
Yeah. Wow.
So do I.
I wonder.
So Renee, Gooch, Renee.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Renee's a social worker, psychologist.
Social worker. Can't call me psychologist.
Well, I'll call you I'll call you a psychologist.
LCSW.
Yep.
And then Gooch is a radio DJ and comedian. Okay, so let's just jump to that last thing you said with everyone should get a therapist. I would disagree from what I heard from Renee, but I also had a personal theory on that too. I think everybody should have friends that are, it's like a Band-Aid, and a therapist is someone you got a deep cut and you got to go to the doctor. I feel like a Band-Aid is like you have friends you talk to. Like you got a problem, like, hey, I have an issue with Emmett. Gooch, hey.
Who doesn't have an issue with this? God.
Well, it's them. It's not me.
Emmett's perfect.
I could say, hey, Gooch, can we go to lunch? I need to talk to you. I got some issues. I don't know if it's my fault. I don't know if it's Emmett's fault. Just, I want your opinion. I feel like that's a Band-Aid. What do you, from yours?
It's healthy to have friends you can talk to.
But, well, healthy, good friends too.
Not enablers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and it's also, you have to consider like what is the scope of friendship and what is beyond that. You know, if you're having like a personal issue with Emmett and you go to Gooch, you're like, hey, let's talk about this personal issue that I got with Emmett. Like he keeps peeing in my socks and I'd rather not do that. Like, what do we do about that? Like that's an appropriate function.
Wait, you say I was peeing on his
for that.
socks?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you are. This is a
Typical
classic,
Emmett.
classic
I have a good
Emmett.
reason.
But if you're talking about like, hey, I feel like every morning when I wake up, I kind of want to die. And, it's might have something to do with like this horrible childhood trauma stuff that I've gone through. Like it's probably going to be outside the scope of your friend.
Yeah.
And what I've seen is people that do have those support systems like continue to dump things on other people, like kind of, I'm going to make you my therapist, even though that's not really your role. And that can be kind of detrimental to that friendship too, because that relationship has its boundaries. Like,
Yeah. Do we draw the line at saving marriages, or what's the?
I mean, it kind of depends. Like, and also like for me, because of what I do, like I get roped into that role a lot.
Oh yeah.
Just because like that's kind of like, if you got a friend that's a mechanic, you're gonna be like, hey, can you look at my car? It's kind of like making this thing. So like that gets blurred with me a lot, and some of that stuff I'm like, like this is not.
Time out.
Yeah.
But you're totally right about the person that dumps their whole life on their friends. You are totally right about that, because you can wear these people out. And I personally try to be a source of energy to a friend. I try not to take away the energy. But we've all done that. We've all been selfish in that regard. But when you catch yourself doing it, and when you catch yourself exploding on your friend for just asking a question and not understanding your frame of reference or point of view, that's when you kind of you need somebody that's just completely away from your life, and they can just give you a non-biased opinion. That's what I think. I mean, it's like I think, and then and hey, I'm paying somebody to keep their mouth shut about my life. There's a little bit of a trust factor here, and that's why you got the patient. Doctor-patient confidentiality, is because that's what I'm paying for. So I'm paying you money to unload all my bullshit on, and it's like, and it's worth it, because the relationships around you are happier. Now, all of a sudden, instead of you being mad around your friend because they misunderstood where you were coming from, now you're talking about something else and you're laughing, which is what you would hope friendships are made for.
And you also have somebody whose perspective is purely of, this is how I know you in this form, and this is your problem, and I'm addressing that problem, instead of like all the other baggage that comes with some other kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Like you're coming to me with your anger issue. Okay, cool. We're going to get to the root of that anger issue. And like, I don't care like what you had for dinner, or, like,
Or how ugly your socks are.
exactly, so it's kind of nice to have that. I think what we were talking about,
Wait, did you know somebody who had sock peeing issues, or was that just totally left field?
this is just what I've heard that you have an issue with.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Word travels fast.
Yeah.
is it pee or something else?
Emmett specific issue.
There's a little blood in those.
We can get into that later, and I'll discuss my hourly fee with you.
There's a little blood in those socks, buddy. I need you to get looked at.
Get that's outside my scope. But I think we were talking about like just the need for a therapist. Like it would be great if people had the early supports and the social supports to where we didn't feel like everybody has to go see a therapist, because you could be, in your screwed up household growing up as a kid, be like, hey, so this is kind of screwed up. Like maybe we can fix this while we're here, instead of like 30 years down the line when you're like, oh, I have all these anger issues and it's because, you know, my dad was an asshole or wasn't around or whatever. Like, it would be great if we didn't need.
Yeah.
Well, and then plus too, I also believe that with online, all the problems, you know, people jump online and they'll read a story, they'll identify with that story, and then they'll take on the pain from that story. Now all of a sudden they want to lash out against something. And again, it's just, there's just so many things that are just tied in with emotion. And I just think it fuels so much of what we're seeing. Is I think that people are just living these traumas on their phone and not even in real life, but they're, and it's kind of just wrecking their life.
See, if they had real problems and real aspirations, then they wouldn't worry about this junk.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like there is something to be said about all these third world countries that have a way higher happiness index than us.
Yeah,
it's like,
I was happy I worked in the factory and I got some food today.
Exactly. I'm thankful for this rice. Sweet. What's depression? You know, I mean, it's like, I don't know what it is.
My daughter got to go to school and learn to read and write. How awesome is that?
Right.
So I think we're spoiled as Americans. I think we have it all, and all we do is bitch and complain about it.
So it's the innate human issue is just only...
Life's too easy.
Well, I would say that we have these... I feel like I'm not a psychologist. I'm just theorizing that we have, these are the problems that are with humans already, and with the luxury as time goes on with the economy here in America, as we are fortunate and we have the generations of each generation's getting easier and easier. I think we're seeing the problem of humans just kind of through a lens. That's what I think with all this.
The Matrix, I think, kind of summed it up. There's a part of the Matrix where
The original Matrix.
The original Matrix, not this piece of shit. What did they put out? Oh my God. What was that? It's
a waste of
dumbest
time.
cash grab. F you, right? So,
I haven't seen it.
oh, it's so dumb, right? But anyway, there's this part in the Matrix where Agent Smith explains to Neo, he goes, well, in the first Matrix, it was a utopia. People were happy. You know, granted, in real life, they were plugged into the Matrix and they're being used as a battery, but in the computer program, everybody was happy. Everybody had enough to eat.
Life was easy.
Life was easy, you know, but human beings rejected that. They're always... One thing I know about every person I've ever come across is there has to be something that they have to, there has to be an obstacle they have to beat in order for them to remain driven or remain kind of happy. You know what I mean? It's like, and if they don't have that, and if they just kind of sit around and like, oh, what's the point or whatever, they don't make it. So it's like you have to have something kind of pushing you forward, whether it's a negative emotion. I mean, whether it's a fear, like for me, what pushes me forward is fear. And then sometimes that fear, I think about it, it makes me sad, it makes me angry. And I'm like, oh, I don't ever want to feel like that. So just keep moving forward, keep going, keep going.
What are you afraid of these days? You're living the life, man. You're living the dream.
I'm afraid of bombing. I'm afraid of getting fired. I'm afraid dude.
Bombing on stage.
Bombing on stage.
Anybody? Where are you going?
Russia's coming. Russia's on the way.
Exactly. I'm just going to stop by a local militia. Do you have
Some foil for
yeah,
your
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's like there's all we're motivated. Everybody thinks that happiness should be the motivator. And it's like, no, the negativity is what pushes people to get here. And then unfortunately, when you get to a certain spot, there's going to be a lot of other people going, well, I know this person. They're not that great. Why are they here? Well, they didn't see all the stuff that I sacrificed to get here. And if they did see it, they clowned me for it. They're like, you sold out. You're going to give them all your time, whatever. I had one person, my mentor was a woman. You're going to listen to a woman? Yes. And look at what you're doing. Still at a stockroom, making nothing. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's what you do. You just have to, you have to block out everything that's telling you that you're not good enough. And you just have to do it. Stop thinking about the consequences and just do it.
Hey, Renee.
Unless you're thinking about doing mass suicide, then don't do it.
I mean, there's an argument anyway.
I mean, if you're at a Westboro Baptist church or something.
You could always go with a little, you know.
Thanos wasn't totally wrong.
Yeah, he had a point.
Hey, Renee, for our listening audience, can you explain what carburetors were?
I mean, carburetors were before fuel injection.
Yeah.
So they were just kind of like this like ring of ugly that you had to like grease and shit.
Yeah, Gooch casually slipped that in, but all our young people have no idea.
Right.
Because that was basically, and I could be totally wrong with this because obviously I don't have a carbureted vehicle. Even though like the other one, people are like, oh, are those carburetors? I'm like, no, they just look cool.
Yeah.
Like, they're just there to make noise.
See, here's the thing. I use that as a reference to make somebody else sound dumb, and I have no idea what a carburetor is. So when you're talking about, it comes before the fuel injection, I'm like, okay, let's get a diagram.
It was something like basically that was kind of like the way the air got in to mix with the fuel. Yeah.
It's 100% correct. Before computerized engines, it is a mechanical way to...
So we were talking about muscle cars.
And you would adjust it and all that crap.
Yeah. But back in the day, every car had carburetors because that was how you mixed fuel and air to get it to explode right in the cylinder. Yeah.
Like I've driven one. I just haven't owned one.
Yeah. So 95% of America don't understand any of that, even after carburetors, right?
I'm one of them.
No, but you have some idea of how an engine works.
I'm good at philosophy, and basically I'm good at philosophy is just asking questions, not having answers.
Philosophy is basically just pre-science. Like let's ask the questions and then just like let somebody else handle it.
He's a good philosopher asking all those questions. Answers? No, he's just good at asking.
So life is easier in America, and suicide rates are up. So that supports everything we're collectively saying here.
Oh, so you've answered the questions.
Yeah.
Well, then why am I here?
Stop killing yourselves and work harder.
I think it's more of a question of find a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, so many people, I think, and I see this happen all the time. I love LeBron James, but whenever he talks about greatness, I'm like, shut the fuck up. We weren't born with this kind of body.
Yeah,
okay,
6'8".
There's a lot of people out there that are just as driven as LeBron to be the best basketball player in the world. Just as driven.
Yeah.
Are they as huge? Are they as physically gifted? You know, do they have the court sense that he has? No, he is just this freak out of nowhere. Right. And he's telling all these average people, be great. Be great. So now when you're not great, you're just, you know, you might not even try hard, but you know what, you think you're going, going in the right direction, but you're not great yet. And it's like this unrealistic expectation that everybody has is another thing that's also killing us. It's like, it's one of those things where it sounds positive. Hey, tell people to be great, but is it really positive? Why don't we just tell people to do? That's it. Move.
It's like stop being poor.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, just stop.
Yeah, just stop it.
Stop
it's
being
like,
poor.
Yeah. It's like, no, you just move, go towards something, try something. But so many people are, especially online, again, you jump online, let's say you go public with something, and then you might get 100 people tell you how great you are, but you'll get 2 people letting you know how much they hate your product. And that will stick with you. And sometimes it sticks with so many people that it's like they don't pay attention to the 98 people that were like, hey, good product. It's the 2 people that are like, I'm a failure.
Yeah. Well, and that's also part of our our evolutionary response, that we have that negativity bias. It's part of like our fear survival instinct. You know, everything could be, you could walk outside and it could just be blue skies, sunny, but if there's a sound, if like 1% of the environment is unsettling, you're going to pay attention to that, because that's the danger. And for us, like, we're not, like, for us in American society, at least, we're not in danger all the time. So that translates to like social fears, our fears of rejection, our fears of failure, our fears of not being accepted. Those are like our danger cues.
How do you feel about children in crosswalks?
What you mean? Like, do I slow down, or like how do I feel about them like existing in crosswalks?
There's a danger there.
Yeah.
But in our American schools, we have volunteers that come out with stop signs so that kids can recklessly frolic in the street.
The danger's not for me. The danger's for the kid.
Well, we're talking about the public in general.
Recklessly frolic.
Yeah, this is what I'm seeing.
Man.
When I'm
not getting your analogy here, man.
There's not no, literally. So if you ever drive past a school at school getting out time,
kids frolic about in the crosswalks, and they got the old people with the stop signs. They get angry at the cars.
Yeah, so they're not paying attention to a real danger,
which is
I'm ready to run these fuckers over.
You're the danger.
In the street. Yeah, look, don't play in the street. I don't drive in the park. Don't play in the street.
There's like something that happened that I think we need to talk about later.
Because I'm going to tell you, the parts that do
After
have the
we discuss my
crosswalk,
hourly
I don't
fee.
see too many kids like playing football. And,
they're not like doing cartwheels and stuff.
It's like they're just crossing, and Emmett's like, I've got places to be.
They're not crossing. They're not watching the cars.
He's over here. It's like, it's 10:25. McDonald's breakfast shuts off at 10:30. Hurry.
Right?
Well, to Liem's point, they're being very inconsiderate of my time. Right? Don't have a
I think
right
this
to
is
that
one of
street.
those things where like you're looking for support, and
Yeah.
I
No,
would
I'm-
like to support you, but I just don't.
I'm pointing out the problem that, look, these idiot kids are leaving school. They're not paying attention when they're crossing the street.
Kids are by definition dumb.
Yes. So, do the dumb kids need to keep living and have old people hold the stop sign so they can stay alive?
They do for a little while. Like, okay, so let me just make you feel like an asshole real quick. As a person who's like had a good friend who was killed by somebody running over her,
Yes.
like it's really your responsibility as an adult to like let a kid be a kid.
Not in
And
the
if
street.
they don't understand
Yeah.
dire danger yet,
Emmett's talking
they will
about-
soon. And like,
I think kids need to
They'll
Never
learn.
wants to
learn
give the kids a
that.
machine gun. He's like, you know what? Grow up.
you know,
That's
like,
the point. You don't let kids do dangerous things. Why are we
and that's why
enabling
they
them?
have adults there to help them out.
Yeah, we gotta let him. We gotta. We
Do
gotta.
we
Yeah.
not have one of the highest
not your ass.
pedestrian kill rates in the nation in Vegas?
We gotta teach.
Yeah,
him
that's more
well
about the tourists on the strip.
and let him lead.
Yeah.
the
What school
way.
did they go to?
They can be run over. They're adults.
Yes,
Like when they don't move, I'm like, I'm going.
because
Like
they
I
know
win
what a
by
car
physics.
is.
Because they didn't
Yeah.
learn that lesson
The
in
kids
fourth grade.
don't. No, because they're Californians and they're entitled.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry,
Rock,
Liem, for all the hate
hard
speech you're about
place.
to do.
And that's the thing, and it's and that's the problem. It's like, you know, that's where we're at right now. It's like I think where I was as a liberal growing up, it's like now I'm looking at it like, what new rules are you going to create, and how much more responsibility are you trying to take away from people? And so now it's like I am at that point to where, and my parents have been saying it the whole time, and everybody was saying, you're going to get to an age to where you look at that party or your party, even if you were conservative, and you're going to go, oh my God, they were lying to me, this. And same thing with the conservatives. They were lying to me here. Who's telling me the truth?
Oh, none of them.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. That's the
Nobody?
problem. So anytime,
At some point, you just figure that out. I don't know why more people aren't just registered independent.
yeah, it's
Like,
amazing.
Let's
No,
stop being
because they
sheep.
lie to us in school. They give us these history books and say, "Oh, we have a fair system with 3 equal branches, and anybody can be any party, and they want to represent the voters."
And you were
right?
like paying attention and believe them?
I
school,
did.
yeah, right.
I felt like it took me till my mid-20s to kind of figure that out. I was
Nowhere in any of your political science, government classes, civics, history, never anywhere does it say your politicians are lying to you. They're lying to your face. They want your money.
You're right. I mean, it's like, but at the same time, though, it's like they've pointed out times in history where they've been caught red-handed. I mean, for example, Watergate was a huge thing. So, I mean, it's like they do pay, they do let us know. And on top of that, too, rock and roll has been telling us that. That's been the biggest influence on every single one of us. Let's not forget, it's not the schools.
Rage Against the Machine.
Exactly,
Yeah.
dude. And it's like, and here's the thing, and you sound like a very conservative guy. Rage Against the Machine is highly lefty, liberal, and they're like, yay, Che Guevara. You know, what I mean, that was them. You know what I mean? But all that, like, hey, don't listen to the government. I won't do what you tell me, and all that other stuff. That sounded very right wing for a minute.
No, just because I hate children doesn't mean I'm conservative.
Right. Okay.
He hates all children, not
Right.
just like
And all political parties.
And there you go. And that's what I'm saying, man. And it's like, and everybody should do that. But
Well, that was in the 60s and the 70s too. I mean, a lot of the social change stemmed from music and
Yeah.
like, you know, people in their 20s and
still
late
is.
teens and the protests. And that's just kind of like how it rolls. Of course, you know, that's not going to be taught in schools because they don't want you rioting in school. They let you figure that shit out when you're in college.
well, and that was the thing back in 71. I mean, we were sending young men to die. Get over there, Vietnam. What am I there for? Boom, doesn't matter. Just get over there. People were coming back, and they were showing these kids, 18, 19-year-old men, just going, I have no idea why I'm here. I don't know why I'm killing these people.
There
I
is
have
actually
no
a good reason that they went.
clue. But I mean, but again, it's like, but to them,
Yeah.
the government was not telling them. They were just like,
Yeah.
I'm just here.
It did suck because it was a draft. It wasn't a volunteer.
Right,
army.
right, and that's what I'm saying. And it's like they had these issues that we could change, and it's like, and we were also bringing about, you know, issues with racism, and it's like all that. There was like that started happening in the late '60s, early '70s, and yeah, it was ugly during then, but it started getting better and better and better. You know, and it's like, again, it just takes a little bit of time, but sometimes we just don't have. A lot of people feel like we don't have that kind of time to waste or wait for.
Yeah, I don't want to wait a lifetime for things to get a little better.
Right.
I do see a lot of parallels, and this might just be because of like my specialty in my field, but between like Vietnam era and just the whole Afghanistan, Middle East war on terror, that is just we're sending these guys over to just solve this ambiguous goal that we have.
I could make a
they
very
don't
good
necessarily
case.
know what they're.
Yeah.
I mean, from my experience talking with my vets that are coming back, all fucked up. They're like, this is never ending. We don't know why we're here. We don't know what we're doing.
Yes.
We don't have that sense of purpose, and then they come back and they have no sense of purpose. They feel like there's no accomplishment, and then they just get addicted to meth.
And then the worst,
Meth is bad.
and then even worse after that is they started getting addicted to conspiracy theorists because they're at least giving them some kind of an answer. And unfortunately, that's not an answer. It's a theory. It's not an answer, but they're looking at it like it's a theory. And then sometimes they come back and they get radicalized, and it's like all it takes is for the right message to hit somebody to motivate. And that's what's really scary.
Let me go with this. So World War II was bad. There was good countries and bad countries. There was countries that were invading and taking over other places. There are bad governments that kill tons of people, right? So there's good and bad in the world. If you let the bad countries win, we end up in a worse world, right? Would you trade your spot right now to go live in China? Would you trade your spot right now to go live in Russia?
It depends. But here's the thing, though. We, as Americans,
Yes.
and all the education that we received over here has taught us to look at China like that's a horrible way to live. But over there, there's a lot of people that are like, so who cares? The guy next to me has got the same size apartment. I don't give a shit, and it's like, yeah, he spent his money on this. I spent my money on that. Everything. So when you get taught
That's incorrect.
No, but what I'm saying is but then they've also made money off the stock market. Now, recently, living in China has been totally different, but you're only going to get fed the information that the government wants you to get. And I also believe that, if you were just getting fed the information that the government meant and you mastered that information, you would absolutely be happy. Because those are the rules. Got to follow the rules. Oh shit, that guy got ran over by a tank. I better not do that.
No. So if you happily live in the little zoo cage that they put you in.
If I were an American living over there, I'd be miserable.
But if that's the only matrix that you know,
Yeah.
that's all you know.
That's fine until they start taking over the other places, right? So is Tibet happy about China? Is Mongolia happy about China?
We should ask the Chinese people if they're happy about taking over Tibet. How do they feel? What are they being fed? I mean, that's the thing.
They have to tell you what the government says,
Right.
otherwise they go to jail.
That's the hard part, though. But when you don't know that the government is doing this to you,
Yeah.
like, how do you feel? It's like, I can guarantee you this: if they throw a rally, there's
Just
going to
because
be
you feel happy in an unjust, terrible, authoritarian government, just because you feel okay in there, doesn't mean it's objectively a good thing.
Oh, absolutely not. But same thing with capitalism.
My point is that there are wars worth fighting, like Vietnam, because I can tell you there's a lot of Vietnamese people that did not want to go that communist route, and there was a lot of dying, a lot of suffering. When people left Vietnam and came to America, did they go, you know what? America sucks. All this freedom, all this get information. I'm going to go back to Vietnam. I like it better there. Does anybody ever do that? No, everybody's fighting to get here. Why is everybody fighting to get to America? Why is this the most popular club in the world? We must be doing something right, right? Do people ever go back to Russia? Do people ever want to go back to these terrible places?
I think part of it is because of rock and roll, because of style, because when you're living in a country like China and everybody's dressed the same and it's the same education, everybody gets treated the same.
It's a form of oppression, right?
It's a form of oppression.
Yeah.
But at the same time, think about all the things that they don't have to worry about, though. So
Yeah.
I understand there's pluses and negatives with both ways. I mean, we were talking about the happiness
There's
index.
overwhelming plus. Like, if we didn't fight in Vietnam, it'd be a different place. If we didn't fight in South Korea, is South Korea a different place than North Korea? Which one do you like better?
I haven't been to either, so I don't know.
Right. I
Couldn't
mean,
tell
obviously, but again, as an American, first off, ask a North Korean. They're like, I'm hungry. South Korea looks like they got food. You know what I mean? It's like they're gonna definitely pick that. But
Do we buy North Korean appliances and automobiles?
right. But it's because it's the hermit country for a reason. It's because he wants. We're talking about one man that wants absolute control. That's what's scary about when one man wants it. We can sit there and hate every politician that we want, but the reason why we have so many politicians is because we don't have a fucking king. Okay. Then we need to have all these different representatives and stuff like that. So that way the power structure is somewhat always off balance.
Yes. My point is, if you leave the world alone and you say everybody do their own thing, everybody can feel the way they want, Russia invades Ukraine.
Yes.
So is that the world we want?
No, we don't.
Yeah, so that's bad. Like there's things worth fighting for, and it's hard for a guy that gets drafted to understand.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, why am I dying?
Well, yeah, because
the world.
But how old are you? If you don't mind me asking.
45.
45. So you've seen that. You've had friends that have done that. You've learned that lesson. But when you're 19 years old and you've never had a friend come back in a pine box and you've never experienced that and you've never seen real loss.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're throwing you in here. Yeah, you're going to be like, what the fuck am I here for? You know, you're not going to be looking at it in a grand picture. And it's just, and again, rock and roll back in those days, Neil Young, all those guys, they were like in their 20s.
Yeah.
So they were these kids' ages.
Yeah.
When you're also looking at, for the younger guys now that are enlisting and signing up, there's this idea of I'm going to go to a country and do some real cool G.I. Joe shit.
Yeah.
And in order to facilitate that, you're going to do some cool G.I. Joe shit, but you got to kill some people. So we're going to make sure that you hate them.
Exactly.
So that you're okay with killing them.
So that way you don't stall.
And they get fed this story of, these people are evil and they're here. And it's like, no, this is just like some family that's trying to live. So we really end up messing with like their whole psyche and their perception of how the world works in order to get the job done.
I agree. Being a soldier and killing people fucks people up.
It definitely, that's why I have a great job that will always go on.
It's hard to re-assimilate.
Wow, you really broke that down. What day and time
there's
was
a
that
lot
quote
of like,
made?
there's a lot of dynamics involved in that. It's not just about like, if we could go in and, just pluck out the negativity that's happening, like just go and pluck out Putin and, just kind of back the trucks up, like that'd be cool, but that's unfortunately not how it works.
And yes, there is a point there. Obviously, yes, there is a time to fight. There's always going to be a time to fight. That time probably only happens when it's really needed in our time, in our life.
Yeah.
Like 0.01% of our entire life where I'm going to fight for this and lay it all on the line and go for it. But the thing is we here in America, the message is say something, speak your mind. And all you're doing is making your side look worse. If you just shut up and kept your comments to yourself instead of posting every outlandish thing that you think and painting your side as bad, it's like people would be able to get along so much better. But nowadays it's like, instead of just having somebody to disagree with, now I have to attack them.
That's kind of an innate thing too. And that's one of like the benefits of having like a war is think of how like unified the country was after September 11th. Mm-hmm. We didn't care like who you were. Everybody's my brother and sister. We're all Americans. We love each other. And then that kind of fades out after a while. But we have this innate need to be in a tribe, like whatever that is. And we have to have some kind of battle, whether that's a battle of political beliefs or like your shirt is stupid. Yeah. Sports. Like how many people get into like physical altercations because a team they don't even play for did something.
Gooch almost fought me over the Raiders when we walked in.
He had an attitude.
I mean, Raiders fans, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, right. Like, oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. But like it's an innate desire that we have to be part of something that is, a winning or losing an us or them kind of thing. And like how sad that some people just don't have an outlet for that that's appropriate.
Right.
Yes.
Like go drag race.
And that's the worst part about it is like there's so many people
like in a dress.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever way you need to do it.
Whatever you gotta do it. But it's just and that's what it is. It's like I just feel like nowadays instead of everybody just wants to know exactly what's wrong with them. Tell me exactly what my problem is. I remember somebody told me this. They go, they said that, with race, they say you are able to inherit like memories almost. This is what they tried to tell me. You can inherit it. Yeah, right, exactly. You inherit the memories. And they were trying to say, and that's why people of color here in America have it so hard. And I go, wait, what? And I'm like, that can't happen. That can't happen because I know too many kids that have come from 1%er families and they had a completely different life, always happy, no problems with them. And it's like, well, why did they, but I know their grandparents had a horrible time in the 60s and had terrible memories and stuff like that, but they worked their ass off to put their kid in a better spot. So now all of a sudden their grandchild is in a much better spot. It just depends. It's like, you can't tie memories back to someone else, because then now all of a sudden we are racist. Now all of a sudden, oh, well, I heard about what happened in Mexico, so we're not going to have this new rule because we got to make up for this memory. It's like everybody's just trying to find some kind of reason to hang on, to be angry. And it's like,
dude, Rage Against the Machine has an awesome song called People of the Sun.
Right. I guess. But that's what I'm saying. And it's like, and yeah, throughout
the
history,
injustice of all the Mayans and the Aztecs. So.
Dude, exactly. But it's like, but my thing is like throughout history, it's like we can't just sit there and focus on these awful times in history. It has gotten way better. And the fact that we're not pretending like things have gotten better, now there's just hate coming from all directions now, because everybody wants to get theirs. Everybody's like, well, I had this happen to me. Now the Irish are bitching. Now these people are bitching. And it's like, oh my God, like we have to just stop. Look at who's being positive. Look who's keeping it to themselves, and just go, how do I follow that path? How can I follow that path while also making the changes that this country needs to move forward? How do we better racism? How do we better these race issues? Well, we can't keep focusing on the past. We have to focus on the future sometime down the road. But there's never going to be one solution that everybody can agree on. So then how do we move past this? Why do we keep bringing this up?
So what is the biggest problem that you're hinting at in America here?
I'm hinting at, I definitely think that racism is a problem, but I also think that the more we shine a light on certain things, the more people are living these events through the screen of their phone and not their real life. And they're making these awful things that they see, like people getting beat up and shit, and they're making it out like it's happening to them. And it's not happening to them at that moment. But when you see so many things that are just triggering you in these, like if I just saw white people getting the shit beat out of them by black folks all the time, like, oh my God, there's a war out there. No, there's not. There's millions and millions of people out there. You saw 5 videos that probably have happened through the course of 15 years. And they've already got you tricked into thinking that there's something that I got to prepare for. And there's nothing you got to prepare for. All you got to do is just focus on your family and your friends.
So Liem, do you have a perspective on that with the recent Asian hate kind of
that was
phenomenon
interesting
on the internet?
From my perspective and your perspective as March of 2020 when COVID hit, and then some of the news that I was seeing on my news feed with Asian hate crimes. Yeah. And then I was mentioning it to you, and you're like, is it just all in the newspapers? And is it?
Yeah. Is there always some random amount of crime? And if you show us the 5 times Asians got killed or beat up, then does that skew the perception? And I'm not saying it is. I was curious if that was the case, because I'm not overtly Asian when I walk around, so I don't see that directly. But Liem is genetically Asian, and if anybody's going to look for Asians to mistreat, they'll spot him, right? So he has a different experience walking the street than I do. So I was curious at that time.
No, I mean, with that time with COVID, I was staying at home a lot, so I didn't experience racism. But my close friends, I heard their stories where Linda was driving down the road in Orange County, and she gets 2 people on 2 different days. One person tells, like, they're at a red light, and the person on the other side is like doing this hand signal for her to open her window, and at a moment, or for a moment, Linda's like thought the person was trying to wave for whatever reason. Linda's like, what? Then realizes, roll the window down, and then this white lady starts yelling at her like, it's because of your kind we got COVID here and all this stuff. And it hit Linda. So the second time really hit Linda hard, where it was a white guy that was yelling at her. I forget what he said, but it hit her emotionally. She started crying. And then, like she said, she had like PTSD, where she didn't want to get in her car after that, because
which is crazy, because Orange County is like,
yeah, that's weird.
There ain't no shortage of Asians around. Like,
how many times is that? Is that the one time that happened?
She said just those 2 times.
Just those 2 times. Okay, now I feel horrible for your friend. I wish I could.
You don't have to apologize for white people.
I hate white people a lot of the times. No, I hate white people that do that. It's like, because again, like if you're everybody should be the most, if you're going to be a racist, you should always be the most racist against your group, because
That's a comedian talking.
I'm telling you straight up, because they're the ones that we're always going to have to answer for. Whenever I see a white person or I hear some shit like that, I'm like, fucking Christ. You know what I mean? Because I know everyone's like, what's Gooch got to say about this? And I'm like, oh God. You
You
know,
probably don't get called Karen every time you're like, could you not be an asshole?
That's what I'm saying. And to me, and that is a form of racism. And it's like,
Wait, are you defending all Karens?
No, I'm just saying, like, I get like
yeah. So
pigeonholed as a Karen because I'm a white lady.
Anytime, if she shows up like, oh yeah, there's a big pubic hair in my food. Oh, whatever, Karen. You know what I mean? It's like, that's always, you know, and that's gotten completely out of control. Completely out of control.
I feel bad for like actual nice people named Karen.
Right. But again, though, it's like that started
I'm
getting.
Karina now.
But I'm just saying, it's like we've all had those moments where we got singled out, and it sticks with us, dude. And it sucks. I have mine, and everybody has that where they're like, wait a minute, I was being nice and you just judge me by the color of my skin or it sucks. It's a terrible feeling. And I've had that happen 100 times, but you have to always remember how many people that have been associated with, you know, insert skin color, have you had positive experiences around compared to the two that, yeah, sure, you might remember them. You might remember every detail of their fucked up face, but it's like, compared to the 2 times that happened. And as human beings, and the only way we could beat racism is to just do that math constantly. And unfortunately, there's such a community out there for people that have gone through something like that now all of a sudden they're hearing stories that it happens to another person. Well, these are all isolated incidences. So it's like, it makes it feel like there's this army of people that want to take you out, and it's not true.
So you're saying the internet is not helping racism in America?
The internet is making everything fucking awful. It really is. It's made movies awful. It's made music awful. It's made everything just right down the middle because now everyone's so afraid of offending and coming out a certain way that they're just, that the people with the money that can give you that level of fame, they're like, whoa, we got to go with the safest possible thing. And the safest possible thing is always the least fun.
Renee, are you anti-racism or pro-racism?
Well,
in the U.S. here,
as a white person,
She goes by Karen.
I can't.
Exactly. The Karen.
I mean, nobody, even like the most racist person is going to say that they're against racism because they don't view their opinion as racism. Like, we all have biases, right?
I'm only racist when it's funny.
Aren't we all?
Like, I have biases. Like, for example, if I walk into an Asian's home, what's with the shoes, guys? No, just,
Keeps the floor
all right,
clean.
if I walk into one Asian guy's home and he's like, could you take your shoes off, Gooch? What's with that?
You can keep
Actually,
your shoes
it's cleaner.
Right.
So like
His
when I
house
go in
is very
somebody's
clean.
house and they don't take their shoes off, I'm just like, oh, you are trash. Like, you're carrying all that nasty from outside, like up your stairs, and like, ew.
You are, yeah, exactly. You're ground zero for COVID, you
Like,
filthy bastard.
You just nasty. Like, I'll
You know
take
where it
my
makes
shoes
sense
off.
is on the East Coast where they have these really old houses and it's fucking cold in the wintertime. And you got these wood floors that don't insulate for shit. And you're like, I'm gonna keep my shoes on because it's fucking cold in here.
Yeah.
That's why you got like your cozy house slippers.
The Uggs on.
But yeah, I mean, but again, it's just like, yeah, we all have our biases that we have to fight through. And that's why you always hear this, like, you know, especially doing stand up. I've had black folks come and be, you ain't like the other white dudes. Thank you. Like, and here's the thing. I didn't take it as an insult. Okay? Because at this point, right now in my career, what used to be considered an insult, I'm fucking happy with, and that is, you're one of the good ones.
Hey man,
I'll
you didn't
be
suck
one
out
of the
there.
good ones. Yeah, I'll be one of the good ones. I'm not going to make a situation to stink out of it. But in essence, he is saying, look, when I see you people, I'm like, fuck these guys. But you know what? I think I like you. And I'm like, all right, man, we'll have a beer. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the thing is, though, is whenever you come across someone like that, you will find out that you have, and you give them the time.
Yeah.
You give them the time. You will find out that you have way more in common than you don't. Every single one. Every single person that's like, you're one of these. It's like, I promise you, if you treat them like a human being, they will appear as a human being and you will find common ground.
I think you're overselling people's capacity to be willing to do that.
Well, that's so here's the
Because
thing.
a lot of people are not. I mean, and that's when we have like these pockets of,
Right.
you know, skinheads and people that actually strongly believe these, is because they don't think they're doing anything wrong. They don't genuinely feel like,
Right.
oh, my actions are racist. They're like, no, my people are
they're
being
pure,
attacked.
yeah, they're
and
exactly,
we need to defend my people against these people because they're wrong.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah, Karens should be a K word from now on. It's a racist term, and it's yeah, I get it, and you're totally right about that.
What, you mean Kigger?
wow.
That's not illegal.
That was a hard R right there, buddy.
That's an Emmettism if there was one.
Shit, Kegro.
But dude,
I don't know that we're allowed to say that on this podcast. We're gonna need to.
Those are not bad words.
yeah, but you're right. But
Bring Anthony back.
But again, though, it's just one of those things where it's like it is a tough thing, and just like you said, yes, I am very much overestimating, and it's like, but you just hope. And the thing is all we're asking for is just for people to give each other a chance.
See, I've given up on hope a long time ago.
I know.
You can't solve
And
racism in America?
I don't give a fuck. Like,
No, but-
I'm sorry.
But
It's
at the same
not
time,
like
though,
minorities.
No, but see, you're not.
it's unfortunate.
But you
Yes.
did though. But you did. You did get like. If, I'm,
No, she's
like,
turning into a conservative old Republican
That's what
now.
I'm saying.
She's got money. She's
I'm
got
still
her house.
independent. I don't care.
But what I'm saying is you're obviously not racist. So what I'm saying is you aren't holding on to those things. You have learned that the numbers don't add up when you have one bad thing happen.
Did you attack any Asians during COVID?
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, that is a good question. No, it's-
Well, I mean, let's be specific because I was still in a relationship at the beginning. So, how are we using the term
Domestic violence?
tag?
but yeah,
Get your shit and get out.
You kicked an Asian guy out into the street during COVID?
and you say, yeah,
Oh, day 2 of lockdown. I got home from work. I'm taking a bubble bath in like the second bathroom and the lights are off. Like, this is my me time. And he comes in, he's like, would you like some alone time? And I was like, yes. And he didn't leave. And I was like, well, I guess this is happening.
there's the door.
I'd like some alone time forever.
That was some
please.
Asian hate right there. I was like, and by
he
the
walked
time
away.
he got done, like the bath was cold, and I was like, so now I'm single and you've ruined my bubble bath. Thank you. Thank you. Fuck's sake, just get your shit.
But yeah,
It's your people. It's your people live.
That was my early quarantine experience.
But here's the thing, though: is that relationship going to stop you from ever dating another Asian man? No, it's like you're not going to be like. I mean,
There was a lot that was disappointing.
Ouch.
Oh, wow.
Bro, you're
I'm
not
over
married.
here.
Don't worry about it.
But the funny thing is, though, is like I do like seeing that though because I've seen it happen with white people who have come across too many shitty white people, and now they hate white people, and it's like,
See, I have a hard time being like physically attracted to somebody who's more pale than me.
okay, more pale.
Wait,
Which
you're
I know is a set, or like
Yeah.
equally pale,
like vampire pale?
Gingers, buddies. We know who she's cutting. Look, if you have red
But
hair,
I
you
was
got no
also,
chance.
like-
All right.
like where I grew up was predominantly Hispanic.
Right.
So like to me growing up like that was like, ooh, oh my dad's gonna be so mad.
Rico.
Like that was like exciting and
Suave.
attractive and like, oh, go find yourself a nice white guy. Like, well, that's
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah.
So
Wait, your
is that
attraction-
racist?
Yeah, go find
Is
your
that a
go
bias?
find yourself a nice brown guy who's just as boring.
right.
No, but
You're
you're
Just
attraction-
bilingual and boring. Oh,
Your
okay.
attraction is rooted in pissing off your dad?
Aren't they all?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, really more my mom. My dad couldn't give a shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He's like, oh wait, I have a daughter. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, so
Anyway.
there are differences in cultures. So if you're gonna go for Latino guys, it's gonna come with a culture, right? Possibly more.
See,
with
I
some
like the
machismo.
culture.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I mean,
there's
not so
differences.
much the machismo, but there's a lot about like Mexican culture that's like very at home for me,
Yeah.
just because I grew up in the environment. Whereas like going to like the East Coast, there's a lot out of just New England culture that I'm like, this is weird and I don't like it. So even though I don't like physically fit in, being in an environment like being at like a Mexican house party,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, this is great.
My people.
Like I get a little accent going, like it's terrible. I probably look like the most
I
dumb,
wanna hear
ignorant
the
white
accent.
person ever. It just
Yeah.
happens. I can't.
You're not
like,
supposed to roll your R's at salsa.
like, Hector, it was the truck, man. Yeah. No, you're gonna have to cut that out. That's terrible.
No, there's nothing wrong with saying that you have a attraction to Latino culture.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's comfortable for me, like specifically Mexican culture, because I grew up just so close to the border. Like that's just
Where were you, in Juarez, or where were you at?
Southern Arizona.
Oh, okay. Calexico?
No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so,
you know, I spent a lot of time in trunks of cars. Yeah.
that's a racist joke.
Fucking dope.
You know.
Do we want to keep going down solving racism, or was there more you wanted to
No,
cover?
I'm gonna solve
Actually,
racism.
I did have a question on racism. So on my podcast, I get a lot of time to talk about minority issues, Asian identities, dealing with white people and whatnot. But
Hate dealing with white people.
I want to hear the reverse racism. You mentioned the Karen thing. That's actually I've never. I don't think anyone I've heard reverse racism, but I haven't heard the Karen angle.
Kigger.
So what have you guys experienced that's reverse racism?
I hate the term, by the way. Like I just hate the term. Like it's reverse discrimination maybe, but like racism is race. To me, racism is across the board
Hate is
racism. I understand the origin of the reverse term because like we as white people, we are the privileged population. So it's like a reverse discrimination. But I don't mean to like get into semantics or you know, but like for me, just like the
reverse
term,
discrimination is just discrimination anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're already the privileged population, like I get where that term comes from, but like it's still racism. And yeah, like just as a person who is like by nature a little bit more outspoken, and like if I see some dumb, like if I see you being an asshole, I'm gonna be like, hey, you're being an asshole. Like if you're blocking the parking lot and we're all trying to leave Costco, stop blocking the fucking parking lot. But
What if you're blocking the public thoroughfare on a public road?
Because you're a child crossing the street. Get over it, Emmett.
Senior citizens.
Get over it.
Well,
Find a different way.
well, for me, it's always been with stand up. Like, you know, I'll be like the third or fourth dude on the lineup. This is when I used to do a lot of the open mics and stuff. But, you know, I'd be the third or fourth guy. You know, black dudes would go up there and the crowd would be black and they'd go up there and kill. You know what I mean? Messing with the crowd and everyone's laughing. I go up and one of two things happens. If I were the first white dude up, I got the exception. They'd be like, okay. But if I was the second dude up there and I made some kind of joke, they're like, they didn't. It was weird. I'm not saying that it always worked for me when I was the first white dude, but it was like there was always like a weird shift,
Like
you
a
know?
black culture related joke or a non-black?
Well, just doing crowd work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, look at your shoes, look at your shirt, or whatever. And you know, and sometimes that you can look like a king, but then there's other times where they just look at you and they go like, I just remember I made fun of some dude's Kobe jersey, and this was years ago. This is not before the
he
tragedy.
died.
Yeah, this is way longer ago. And he just, man, fuck you, cracker, like just out of nowhere. And I was like, whoa. And then obviously I roasted him some more, and then and then the rest of the crowd got into it, and they were loving it because there's nothing, you know, like when you do certain rooms and stuff, they love chaos, you know.
Yeah.
And but the more the crowd loved it, the more he was getting amped up and
Get his gun.
right. Well, it wasn't anything like that. It was just like, but then, you know, then there was kind of a moment afterwards where he kind of said some shit and it got separated, but it was strictly because of that. You know what I mean? And it's like, and that same story has happened, not same story, but separate, several isolated incidences such as, you know, have happened just because of that. Yeah. And it's like what did I say? I made fun of your Kobe jersey. Like, and you got, I didn't come after you it's just something so non-personal. And it's like for somebody to get that upset, and it was simply because of that.
Yeah, he wasn't ready to be embarrassed in front of a crowd.
He wasn't ready to be embarrassed in front of a crowd by a white person. That's why he took it super hard.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, and I don't know what philosophy he subjects himself to, but there are a lot of philosophies out there that strictly are, I'm the devil.
So you're saying Steve Harvey can get away with shit on stage that you're not allowed to?
Absolutely.
Depending on the crowd, probably.
Absolutely. You know, and it's just something that you got to work on. You know what I mean? And it's like there is a different way that you have to handle. And black comics will tell you the same thing. Sometimes they go up in front of Dave Chappelle has a story where he was one comic in Florida. He crushes. White dude goes up on after him and he's bombing. somebody from the audience goes, "Hey, get the N-word back out here." And then Dave looks at the comedians and he's like, well, "I guess I'm that N-word." And he walks back out there and he continues to crush because he's Dave fucking Chappelle. You know what I mean? But exactly, like, but he could have handled that in so many ways, but instead he just goes out there, "I'm going to reassert my dominance and let whoever said that know how fucking dumb you sound." You know what I mean? And that's how he handled it. That's why he is here. And it's like, and that's why so many other people can't.
I think what's problematic
because
is
he can keep control of his emotions.
But what's problematic is Chappelle's superstar hit TV show was almost entirely based on joking around that word.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's such a weird
Why
example.
is that a problem for you?
Because now in that situation, he's almost encouraging the use of that word.
Well,
I'm all for dropping the word altogether.
I'm all for dropping the word altogether too, but at the same time, if Dave is out there going, or not Dave, but if anybody is like, if the key to that to me is like Dave just kind of showed with any time you get insulted, no matter what the insult is, if you go, "You're stupid," look at who's saying this.
Yeah.
You don't matter. Now, if it's like somebody that I care about, somebody that I love, and they're really calling me something awful, then that might stick. That's going to hurt
You have
a
to
little
value
bit more.
the source.
But Dave
Yeah.
Chappelle clearly understands that this is a stupid white trash idiot,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to go back out there and make him look more dumb, and he did. And that's what it is. And it's like letting these things push you overboard. And look, I've gotten emotional in my past over stupid, idiotic things. And for anybody to sit there and say that they don't have any regrets is ridiculous to me. It's like we all have regrets.
Yeah.
But I'm not talking about like with race or whatever. I'm just talking about just getting angry and doing something stupid. It's like, but you know, but again, when you're able to hold yourself to here, that's why when I look at Trump, I never looked at him as a good leader because he would get so worked up about words. But when you look at like Obama and he's just like, whatever, I'm smart, you know. And I didn't really think he was a great president, but it's like but you could tell he was clearly the smartest guy in the room because he did not let anything get to him. He always had a poker face on, always.
So underlying all of our racial issues, so is pronunciation and education.
Yeah.
Underlying all of our racial issues, I think, is socioeconomic divide.
Social economic status is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we were all the same, if we were all equal, we wouldn't have problems with race as much.
In theory. Because I think there is still, like what I was saying before, there's still that innate need for us to be banded into tribes.
Yeah,
right?
but with America,
we're going to find some way to do that. And the way you look is a very easy way to do that.
This is probably the most
Ukraine.
This is probably the most multicultural place on the planet.
It is, but so if we're gonna start with an even board, right? We're all playing Monopoly now, and everybody gets their $200. We all start out on the same page.
Yeah.
We're still gonna find ways to divide ourselves, however that may be. So, like right now, when I was driving here, there was a car stopped on the freeway.
Yeah.
Normally, I would just drive by. This was a girl with a Jeep, so I'm like, oh, my people. I don't know who the fuck she is. She could be like a train wreck or like a meth
This is
head.
why
I
you
don't
were
know.
late. You were helping some
But-
Jeeper.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know, but like, I'm like, oh, I have a tribe.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to find a way to do that. And, you know, that's a very benign way to do it is, you know, by vehicular choice. But, you know, we will find just by nature other ways to do that. And with that, with having an us, there's always a them.
Well, back in the USSR, how many Black, Asian,
gonna sing this
Latino,
song.
Indian people were living over there?
Just the Mongolians.
Right. I'm just saying. In the USSR. And after a while, they broke off into several countries. And now look at them. You look at Ukraine. You look at Russia. Russia's trying to invade Ukraine. There will always be something that will separate. Look at what happened in Yugoslavia, how that split up. It's the same thing. Political ideology, what's right, religion. It's like there will always be something that will put us against them. And I don't know who us is, and I don't know who them is, but there will always be something that lumps us and separates us. And depending on where you get your information and how passionate you are, where does it turn Does it turn your knob towards acceptance, or does it turn it towards hate? That's all up to us. That's all up to us. I look back at the Trump presidency, and it's like I was not a fan, and I said some horrible things about him and about his followers and stuff that I completely regret. I became the guy that I saw. I became the guy I saw on television talking about how he's blasting all these other groups. Well, I was doing it. I looked just like that.
Doing the same
You
thing.
regret some of your anti-Trump jokes?
I do. I think the guy was a clown, but I also think that at the same time, it's like I don't understand why I hate these people so much.
Because you're voting for the stupidest possible choice.
But look at Joe Biden. I mean, it's like I look at what's going on right now, and I'm like, this guy's like kind of laughable. I don't feel comfortable with this guy as the president. I don't. You know what I mean? So it's like this is where we're at. I got to pick between a piece of shit and the Crypt Keeper. It's like that's what I got to go with. You know, and it's like, and that's the problem that we're having right now. And it's like that's why nobody should have went into that election going, oh, this is open and shut case. It's like you either, and I mean, the things that he stirred up in America and all these militias and all that stuff that just started gaining more and more steam under his watch, and all this paranoia and all this this complete fabricated news that makes it out that we're all living the fucking Bourne supremacy or something like that. It's like that he subscribes to and he gets his people to subscribe to. It's like I don't know how we're ever going to come back from that. And I do see him getting reelected again. And it's like, I don't know how we're ever going to get out of that mindset. And it's kind of scary.
You think the pendulum's going to swing back the other way?
I think, yeah. I mean,
for me, the alarming thing was how many people just kind of came out from the underground, it's okay to be this white supremacist skinhead kind of like this is acceptable, and it's like whoa, no, I thought we talked about this a few decades ago. That's not okay, right? That was very alarming.
But at the same time, though, you know what? When they go,
so he catalyzed some negative things, some very incredibly
a lot of these ideologies that we thought kind of got extinguished. You know, back when we had the civil rights movement and we've had women's rights movements, and we've had hey, guess what? People are people and they do weird things, and you might not like it, but they're still people, and it doesn't affect you, so get the fuck over it.
But what
we thought that mindset was kind of catching on, and then it's just suddenly all these people are coming up out of the woodwork, and they're like, finally I can speak my racist mind again, this is acceptable. It's like, no, it's still not.
Back,
just because you have a microphone doesn't mean it's okay.
And that's the problem. And it's like what I really didn't like about that is he just kind of made it okay to go out there and just kind of spread this around. And look, we should all. But I also subscribe to, is it really tolerance? Are we letting people learn that insert race isn't these stereotypes that we associate them with? It's like, while we're calling them, you fucking idiot, you fucking racist, calling them the worst possible thing, are we ever going to give these people a chance to stop and learn for themselves? You know, and that's where that's where I kind of look at, again, this is where I look back and I'm like, wow, how many more Trump supporters did I make dig their heels in even more compared
because
to
you were effectively fighting
because
on the
I was
other side.
effectively exactly. I'm over here thinking I'm fighting Trump, and I'm telling everybody how to live. And
so you're saying that telling people their opinions is wrong doesn't just make them think their opinions are wrong?
Right, yeah. And
what?
Not only just saying, but it goes
cements
way worse
their beliefs even further?
Yeah, but it goes way even beyond that. Just going, hey, I don't like your opinion. That's somebody pick up. That's understandable, but that's not what's happening. I don't like your opinion. And it depends on what side of the fence you are. Racist, okay, on the left. Baby killer, you know what I mean? And it's like, what am I? You know what I mean? Oh, you just big fucking gun owner. You love guns, and you're like, or take away all the guns. It's like, there's a middle ground here that we're not missing, that we're completely missing, but we just need to attack. And unfortunately, every one of us at this table has core beliefs that are being represented on both sides. And we're stuck going, oh, wow, yeah, well, they're 100% right. How are they 100% right? No one's 100%.
No, well, that's the trap. Once you choose a side, you've lost.
Yeah.
Because it's a scam and a rig all the way around.
Right. And now it's in
And having the two-party system is, I mean, it puts you into that us versus them. And I mean, and this may have just been like my naive child perspective, but it didn't seem like it was always this heated this party is correct, your party is incorrect. It was just like, these are the two different perspectives.
Right.
And it seems like it has just been increasingly more of a team sport. And I'm on this team and I'm stuck on this team regardless of who's on it.
Right.
Instead of just like,
well, because you weren't having these conversations with your coworker. And if you did, you had it one time and you learned to never bring that shit up again around them. Now you jump on, you're like, all right, I'll stay Facebook friends with them. They post something that makes you angry, post something that makes you angry, post something that directly attacks something that you feel passionate about. Now you're calling me in just like the label that I just said, you know, the terrible labels that I just said.
Trump sucker.
What, Trump sucker again? Or it's just like these ugly terms that we like to throw out to these ugly blanket statements. It's like, when you're doing that, you're not helping. You're
so what would work?
Hurting.
How do we make Americans smarter?
I find it alarming how many people get so upset over what other people do that has no impact on them.
Because a lot of people like to jump, because I personally think we have made Americans so afraid of looking stupid or being hoodwinked or whatever the term is for being bamboozled or whatever. It's like, we have made Americans so afraid of that all they want to do is subscribe to the line of thought that backs up whatever's going on in their head. And,
yes.
and it's like, and then what they will do is they will just, and again, just the need to be a part of a group, the need to be a part of something, the need to have a purpose. I think that just lends itself to these groups forming. And again, then all of a sudden you have the tribe mentality and we're back to square one.
And I think we have an innate need to create some chaos with that too. Like, people who don't have a lot of conflict or drama or things to do in their lives will create them.
Is this why we watch murder mysteries and courtroom dramas?
Like in my job, I see a lot of drama
all
the time. And my personal life is very free of drama. I don't watch the news. I haven't turned on the TV. I mean, just to watch Formula One, that's about it.
Wait, you don't know what's going on in Ukraine?
I mean, I'm aware that things are going on.
Okay.
It's unfortunate.
Yes.
Gas prices are going up, but we're also they're not shut down like they were in the 70s. I'll get upset then.
Gas?
When I can't get gas, I'll get upset. If it's more expensive, that's unfortunate. I'm still going to roll with it.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't, and this might also just because I'm like an emotional robot, but like I don't understand the value of getting upset over something that doesn't impact me directly.
Well, it's more about
and what other people do,
murdered.
which I understand, and that's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
Like that might sound very cold, but like people get murdered all day, every day. Maybe we care a little bit more because they're white and it impacts us financially. Like, do we give a shit about what's been going on in Africa for decades and decades? Are you losing sleep over that?
No, I'm not saying lose sleep over it. I'm saying we should care about making a better world.
Well, we can care about making it a better world, but we tend to care a lot about things that have zero impact on us.
Yeah.
You know, like, do you care if your neighbor over there is like some dude with a beard wearing a dress? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And how many people too? I mean, you're talking about making the world a better place. How many people look at us and they're like, yeah, you guys are the ones that are fucking up because you're getting involved in everybody's bullshit. And it's like,
I would make an argument that the U.S. is a good influence for the world.
I'm not disagreeing with your argument. I'm just saying, if you put yourself in their shoes and they grew up the way that they grew up, I'm sure there's like hundreds of millions of people all over the world that look at us as the number one problem because we're trying to police everybody. And it's like, and again, with the Ukraine, it's like, just like she was saying, I have to turn off from that because what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Am I going to go over there to the Ukraine and start fighting? No. Am I going to, do I want America to go over there and just say, you know what? We're setting up base here in Ukraine. Now, all of a sudden we have missiles pointed directly at Russia. They got them pointed at us. Now this situation is escalated beyond control.
It's worth fighting the good fight.
The good fight could be nuclear. Yeah. The good fight could be nuclear warfare.
Like,
though,
I mean, you can say like, yeah, this is what we should do. Okay, then go do it.
I am with my tax dollars.
Okay.
Right.
And I get to deal with the aftermath of it.
Yeah, well, so who would you rather have in charge? If the U.S. was not the world power?
Well, obviously, I'd rather have the U.S. in charge over it because I'm an
here.
American, yeah.
No, but what does the world look like if you subtract the U.S. off the world stage?
There's some countries that might be doing better off without us.
There's some.
I mean, we've stuck our nose in places that we don't belong.
This is what I think happens. If you automatically just take America out of all the countries that we are in, it is going to be mass genocide. You're right, because it's going to be a complete shift in government. So it's going to be mass genocide. But if we weren't there, guess what? Mass genocide. There's always going to be a way to flip the public, and there's always going to be death, and there's always going to be ways to handle it. And in certain countries, like you look at what happened with Saddam Hussein. Well, when he was in charge, he was putting people into wood chippers, like one group, and then when he got exiled and they found him in that bunker and whatnot. Now all of a sudden, like that group that he was putting in there, they're the ones that rose to power. Then it was just like murder all over, like straight up.
The Sunnis and the Shiites hate each other anyway. And went and killed each other.
But then one group all of a sudden went way off the edge, and it was just bloodbath everywhere. And it was like, it was documented in the movie Vice. You know, they showed a little bit about it. I think it was al-Zarqawi or was the leader that rose up in that area. Yeah. Formed basically ISIS, it might have been ISIS. I'm not 100% sure, but it was like, or the Muslim Brotherhood, and it was just, there was just blood everywhere. Yeah. But if we didn't get rid of Saddam Hussein, how much lives could have been saved at the expense of some unfortunate people that were clearly under his thumb being put in a wood chipper? It's scary. It's like,
didn't the U.S. have a hand in putting him in a position of power in the first place?
They did. Yes. They did. And then he overstepped his boundaries, and then they were like, well, now we got to put you back. And there you go. And that's what happens when you meddle.
I'm not saying that the U.S. is perfect.
I mean, I don't think that we can put it into such a black and white category as good and bad.
I mean,
you can maybe because you have the brain of a toddler, but
no,
there are
roll back to World War II.
Where we have
if there was no U.S. in World War II, who's running the world?
You're right.
Yeah,
Do you want
and it's
Germany
not
and
as
Japan
black and white
World War
at that anymore.
It is when Russia invades Ukraine, when a communist authoritarian dictatorship sends in an army to take over another country.
Right.
But unfortunately,
that is so black and white.
But unfortunately, though, this is where we're at.
Ask the Taiwanese if they like the U.S. as a world power.
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they, and here's the thing. Then the U.S. should have put it in the contract that we're keeping it forever. Instead, we're like, oh, we're going to have it for a few years, and then we're going to give it back. That's kind of a stupid contract in the first place.
No, that's Hong Kong.
Oh, it's Hong Kong. I'm stupid.
Yeah, that was the British.
I'm sorry. That was dumb. Taiwan. It's right.
Taiwan is very afraid.
Is its own country with its own currency and language
Okay.
that China decided they own.
Yeah.
I don't think the world would be a better place if the U.S. was hands off.
Okay.
No, but maybe we get permission before we meddle.
Okay.
I would think I agree with you. I agree with you, but at the same time, it's like, who are we to decide who's the good side and who's the bad side? And it's like, you look at,
because the U.S. has built-in good guy vibes.
Do we though? Is it just because we have the eagle?
No, because every person that goes and joins the U.S. Armed Forces, they're not like, I want to go kill some people. Right? They're like,
I'm wondering where you're getting this data, because mine would go directly against that.
So every
I have had people who have said, I want to kill people.
Well,
that's why I'm going into the military.
You were saying everyone, and she's saying she has some dad. She's not saying you're wrong, but she's also saying that she is saying you're wrong, but she's saying I don't think the level of wrong that you are.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that is incorrect.
Do people generally have a patriotic good guy motivation for joining the armed forces of the U.S.?
There's so many different reasons. For some people, they just want to get out of their abusive household. For some people, they know that they don't have the skills to get another job. For some people, it's just what their family did. Some people want to go and kill people.
And is our recruiting and our messaging, hey, if you want to kill some people, if you want to escape your shitty situation, join the Navy?
Sometimes,
I mean, if you offer free education, that is escaping your shitty situation.
You got to look at where you're recruiting.
Yeah.
If you're going and recruiting in, some white middle class neighborhood,
Iowa,
in the Midwest,
hey,
your family will be so proud. Go do some great things. If you're over on Owens and D Street, be like, hey, you want to get out of this shit situation?
And again, too, you're talking about America, where it's like, man, it's like, you're talking about racism. It's like, if I'm black and you hear how they're treated here in America, are you going to run over there and all right, I'm you guys are gonna finally respect me now. It's like,
Yeah, you're 17 years old. How does 20 grand sound? It sounds real fucking good.
I'm going to contend that overall, the U.S. foreign policy and U.S. military is on a good guy vibe.
And you do that.
here's the thing. I see what you're saying. I think you're talking about how they promote it. I think you're talking about the megaphones that they use to try to get the word out is a good guy vibe. You're not, but again, dude, they use the same good guy vibe.
Have you
for
ever been
Nazi
to-
Germany, dude? They did the same
You ever
thing.
been to Costa Rica?
No.
Beautiful place. Awesome. They don't need a military because they supply all our fruit and they know the U.S. will come save them.
Right.
Okay, so let's look at places where the U.S. is against somewhere else, right? So where is the U.S. in opposition to somebody else? Do you want the Arab world in control of the world? Do you want them influencing
Well, no,
everything
because that's
else?
what we've been taught.
Yeah, do you like the religious Arab style
Right.
of government?
Well, I would definitely
I
not.
haven't
enough.
been there and experienced it firsthand.
Okay.
From what I've learned from living over here in a place of opposition, no.
See,
But-
see,
So
as an
because I've
American,
never
I also
been to
haven't-
Saudi Arabia, I can't believe anything I know about Saudi
No,
Arabia.
but I mean, it's you can't just place a whole culture into this box and say America's good, Saudi Arabia's bad,
I'm adding
based on just what
I'm
the
adding up
information that we
totality.
have
Yes.
Right.
available for us. I mean, from what my understanding is, I would, maybe not be allowed to drive, not be allowed to own property, have to wear like garments that cover my face all the time. Not happy about all that.
Yeah.
So I'd rather not. I also haven't experienced it firsthand. I also kind of don't like, it's not super on my radar too. So
Yeah. So
That's
I,
kind of
I
a-
care more about the world.
yeah.
I've been to Thailand. I've been to Vietnam. I've been to Bali. I've been to Nepal.
Hong Kong, it's a country.
I haven't spent too much time in Hong Kong.
Is it its own country? Or is it just rented?
Yeah. So does Hong Kong care that they're being reintegrated to China?
I'm sure they do. But again, they were exposed to that culture for a very long time, and now all of a sudden they're getting the rug pulled out from them. So
what
I
I'm saying
understand
is
why
when
they're upset.
you see examples of living this way or living that way, what do people choose? They're showing you with their deaths, they're showing you with their protests and being jailed for life that, oh my God, this is so much better.
You're
right?
absolutely right. Everything you're saying, there is merit in what you're saying.
Thank you.
But I also believe that getting involved creates a lot of problems. If we didn't get involved in the 80s, where we armed Osama bin Laden, we wouldn't have had 9/11. And it's like, so that's what I'm starting to learn. It's like the more that you push your way of life or your opinion, there will always be a reaction. And most of the time, you won't feel like you're winning or losing. You're just going to be stuck in the middle, just arguing this point, and you're never going to find any kind of solace. So my thing is like, why focus on all that and start living the world, living what you can control, your family, your friends. Things like
if you're isolationist, then the world doesn't leave you alone.
you're right, but we are America and we're not isolationist. And we do find out about things like Poland. We do find out. I mean, I remember she was bringing up something about Africa. And I mean, I remember at the grocery store, donate $1 for those girls that got stolen on that bus. You know what I mean? It's like, do you remember that? It was hideous. It's just, now I'm giving $1 to the Ukraine. It's like, so they are getting some kind of support from us. We are America. But I just also think that getting involved could create that's the thing. These military leaders and stuff like that we have, they know what Russia is doing.
Yes.
They know what they're doing. And they also know that the more Russia proceeds with this invasion, the more they're going to hurt themselves and be royally fucked. And then that'll make America even more number one over Russia because they're losing way too many. They're losing supplies. They're losing soldiers. They didn't sit there and count on Russian soldiers going, hey, go kill those people. Compared to 5 Russians, I'll take 1 Ukrainian fighting for freedom instead of 5 Russian soldiers. I'll take that guy right now because he's gonna that 1 Ukrainian, he's fighting for something. This guy's just doing what he's told. And again, just like you were saying, America will always find a way to be involved because that's where the money's at. But as far as like the good guy thing, it's hard to buy into the good guy thing because as soon as money gets behind it, I can't buy into it. Anything that gets a sponsor, no matter what cause it is, it's lost on me. If all of a sudden,
You mean like football?
I'd like to get a sponsor for tires
I'm saying if there's a cause,
so I can get lost in
Like
the
when-
wilderness.
when
Toyo
Colin
tires are
Kaepernick,
Japanese.
when Colin Kaepernick got a brand ambassador by Nike, and all of a sudden his image was all over T-shirts with the swoosh and all this stuff, I was like, he's not who he says he is. He's not who he says he is.
So he was a sellout?
Yes.
It's a good thing Martin Luther King didn't get a sponsor.
Look, no, I'm going to say, because here's the thing. When you look at, I don't want to say he's a sellout, but what I'm saying is like, when he took that money, now all of a sudden it's like, now everything that you post, it's like, now it's got to be okayed by Nike. You know what I mean? Now it's like, how is this going to hurt our brand? You get what I'm saying? And it's like, and I just use that as an example. I don't want to sit there and say that I was anti Colin Kaepernick. I'm just saying, like,
Racist.
I think MLK was sponsored by Baptist Church, right?
right. Well, there you go. But the thing is, though, is
That would be a great sponsorship.
but that was back in the day when a leader could emerge. Yes. A leader could emerge. You had to be Colin Kaepernick, a starting quarterback on the 2 years removed from a Super Bowl champion, and then he gets benched because he was bad. And then he started playing bad, and then he gets, and it's like there was just too many questions going on. But the thing is, though, is he was 24 fucking years old, and it's like that was the one thing. It's like, how can, when I'm watching people hate this guy, I'm like, he is 24 years old and he's got questions. We can answer some of these questions. You know what I mean? Like, people that were that mad at him, I didn't get. But at the same time, he was acting like a 24-year-old. He was doing the same mistakes a 24-year-old makes. And that's why his message was getting, it's like there were plenty of people, black folks included, that were like, I can't jump on board 100%.
Does this make you want to buy Nikes or not want to buy Nikes?
It makes me see, Nike, it's not the sponsor that I'm upset about.
You said the
It's
sponsorship ruined his leadership.
No, it's the fact that it affects what he's going to say.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's not authentic. Now
I think we're also assuming that it does, though, too. Because for some platforms, I mean, I don't know about it, I don't really do the sports ball. So this is football.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Just making sure.
The funny shaped one.
The weird one that's not really a ball, and like it should be
kind of-
called
kind of a tube.
It
but
shouldn't
not-
be called football because they don't really do it with their feet, but whatever. It makes no sense. Run together, stand down, whatever. So
The running back.
it's gonna run around and fall down and do it again. I think we're making assumptions that, like, I don't know when he was sponsored. Like, was it after that he started his kind of like
It was
political
after-
speech?
yeah, it was
and
after.
then got sponsored by Nike. So maybe that's part of the draw is they wanted to be part of that message. So, like making an assumption about,
But my deal
are
is,
they
though-
going to put a leash on what he can say? Like, maybe they are, maybe they're not. Maybe they're going to encourage more than he really wants to. Maybe, after he starts turning 25 and 26, he's like, oh gosh, I want to dial it back. And they're like,
And that's
maybe
what I'm
not.
saying.
But we're also
Dial it up.
assuming
You're right. You are assuming
that they are.
But I will say that when you sign that contract, they own you. He is property of Nike now.
Hey, Brandon, do you know any good ways that I can make money with tax liens?
Tax liens.
Wait, what?
I'm fucking with Brandon. I heard a voice on the
Yeah,
radio
it's-
that was telling me
Yeah,
I could go to
I
the
had to read
seminar.
something. I'm like, yeah, seminar bullshit.
Oh,
But anyway, though,
because you sold out.
right? No, here's the thing. That's not my message. I'm just a voice. This wasn't like, hey, get Brandon. Hey,
I knew it was you.
I'm Brandon Hahn, and I'm here to tell you. No, it's like, and on top of that, you better fucking pay me to back your goddamn product. But again, but it's just
same
to me, there's no way that, just like you said though, when you have a sponsor and stuff like that, now everything is convoluted. There's no way that it's been this long of him having this sponsor and that he hasn't been slapped down, and now he feels like, what did I just get myself into? Now everything I tweet, everything I post has to be okayed. And you were talking about Nike coming in with pure intentions. Fuck no. They got sweatshop workers over there, which, by the way, are probably fueling economies. I'm not trying to blast America here with the capitalism.
Vietnam needs to make shoes and clothes.
Okay,
to
yes,
make money.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
So that I can afford shoes.
So they
and
can
clothes.
afford shoes and clothes, right? So
if you're smart, you want to move your country towards industrialization, then education, then science.
I've spent all my money on tires and I have none for clothes.
Exactly. Look
None
at his shirt,
left.
for God's sake. It's
falling apart.
He came to this
Not even a
podcast
whole
with that.
shirt.
No, but again though, it's like, you know, you now all of a sudden you're unraveling way more problems than what initially was the message, and it's like now he's got to answer to Nike. Now he's got to kind of look the other way as Nike does what every giant corporation, every slimy thing a giant corporation has to do to make millions of dollars, and now you're tied to that, and now he's not even going to have a chance to grow. Now let's just say he wants to speak out against something. If he says something, now all of a sudden Nike's going to slap him down. And it's like, it's just, to me, it's like that's why when movements like this, it's hard for me to get behind, because now do you really believe in this movement, or are you now an employee?
Yeah, no, I think any person that is lucky to get rich and famous young is doomed to a kaleidoscope funhouse life of money and fame that nobody treats you as a normal person. You don't know what a normal life is. No. You're not worried about paying your bills. You're not thinking about, do I need to take this community college class so I can get the credentials so I can get this job?
Yeah, this all sounds terrible.
I'm saying that's normal life that we can all relate to, right? We all have common struggles and common life. But if you're rich and famous young, you don't know any of that.
You have other struggles, though.
Yeah, but you're in this weird world that doesn't relate to a regular person.
Right.
That's the struggle.
So I think, so one thing that's been coming out lately is, so pretty much the only sport that I follow is Formula One. It's cars going and like.
It's coming to Vegas.
Things.
Yeah.
I know.
Super expensive.
Yeah.
You're not with it?
We'll see. I'm
It's
excited
your favorite
about
sport.
it.
It's coming here.
It's the richest sport in the world.
It is.
The drivers
Is it?
get paid the most money in the world.
Oh.
I think soccer players, like
Wasn't
international
there-
football players, are making a lot more, but ish. Yeah,
Okay.
there's a ton of money in this sport. Ton of money
the
in
Formula One guys. Oh man,
Are you counting free Rolexes or not counting free Rolexes?
Yeah, well, with their sponsorship, but I want to say Lewis Hamilton is like top 20
Okay.
somewhere behind some footballers.
Yeah.
And a lot of these drivers come out very young because they're coming out of like karting and then Formula 2. And so, some of these guys are 19 years old winning
you gotta
world
be quick reaction
championships.
times.
And I mean, they're doing this superhuman stuff, and they have all this pressure. They have 20 different sponsors they got to answer to, plus their team, plus all this other stuff. And a few of them have been coming out and speaking about like their own like struggles with mental health, and they're getting a lot of backlash from some people. Like, well, hey, you've lived this privileged life. How dare you? And they're like, well, but do you understand the pressure of like going through your formidable years, in this institution where you don't have these normal struggles, you don't have these normal things that you're going through, the trials and tribulations of life.
Yes.
And you're just instantly launched into this like stardom. And that can be very difficult for people too.
It can be difficult, but you also have the option to quit. Once you're an adult, once you're 18 or whatever in Europe, at some adult point, you have the option to quit. So yes, I can understand that it can be sucky if you find yourself trapped in this life.
Yeah.
But you can quit with your $1 million and be ahead of everybody else and live a normal life like us and worry about your next job.
I mean, you can say that about anybody though, right? I mean, if you absolutely hate that, at your job, your boss is constantly sexually harassing you, just quit.
I actually feel that because we have that much freedom and choice, especially here in America, right? We
Yeah,
have
but then
that
what
many
about the
options.
opportunities? What happens if you work your ass off your whole life, and then all of a sudden you got the job you want, but your boss is sexually harassing you? Now all of a sudden you got to take this and feel less than, or you quit and then think that you're just going to be able to start it all over again. I mean, what happens if this is like one of few opportunities that there is? I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's the same thing with like when like Rose McGowan went after Harvey Weinstein, but it's like I have a hard time listening to her talk about it because, oh, you mean the same one that was 15 years old and kind of used her sexuality to advance, and then now you got all these parts. You married Robert. You got Robert Rodriguez to cheat on his wife with you and ruined his family, and it's like it's unfortunate that it happened, but it's like you weren't regretting it when times were good.
Yeah.
You weren't regretting it when times were good, and then when finally the cover gets pulled back. Now all of a sudden you have only yourself to blame. And that's the problem. And it's the same thing with like a woman who gets an abortion and then all of a sudden is filled with so much shame that now all of a sudden she's super pro-life. You know, we've seen it as a therapist. You've probably seen that 100 times where it's like, no.
Can't say I have.
Oh man, I know. I've dated several women. I've had several women. I've even where either
Why are you
it happened
dating
to
all
them.
these women and they're getting abortions?
It wasn't good.
I'm
not saying I was the one that got them the abortion. I'm just saying it's like there were two girls. One did turn to pro-life like that. And again, it was a date. It wasn't anything after that. And then it was like, and then another girl had her mom.
The
and then
abortion
another
clinic?
girl had her mom. And it was like I find it like
Where are you picking up on women, man?
don't know. She just kind of brought it up, and it was like I didn't know she was like super Christian or something like that. She kind of brought it up, and she's like, and it's the worst thing. And I kind of pieced, and then I found out through the grapevine that she had that happen probably 15 years prior. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh well,
Abortion is a terrible thing for a woman to go through.
It's gotta be, yeah.
Because there's this mothering instinct, and like, who wants to kill a baby, right? So
Right.
it's a hard.
So here's something interesting that like was recently relevant. Not to me personally, just at work. So apparently like a partial abortion is a thing.
How do you partial abort?
Right? I was like, what's left in there?
Yeah.
Like how do you know, how is that? But apparently that's a thing that happens periodically, that like they don't get it all out, and that can like cause its own host of problems. So that'll ruin your next meal there. But
Right
yeah.
on.
You're talking about removing a fetus from the womb? Mm-hmm. Is this like a...
And apparently they don't get it all out sometimes. And it's called a partial abortion, and that can just lead to like additional complications and stuff.
Some people will try to self...
Right, but we're talking like a medical procedure where they don't.
Oh, okay. Well, then you go back to the hospital and try to get it fixed, right?
I would. Apparently, it's more complicated than that, but
Yeah, I mean, but the only thing
Yeah.
if you had the medical procedure of an abortion and it didn't work right, then the logical next thing is go back to the hospital and try to get it.
one would think. But you don't also just go to a hospital to get this done.
Because we don't have free health insurance, or
Show me on a map where you're going to go get an abortion.
And where's this free
Yeah.
health insurance? I
Yeah,
don't
where's this?
Yeah.
You go down to the St. Rose ER? And just be
no,
like,
wherever
hey,
you
I
went
need
for your abortion, you
I
go
need
back
an
there and say,
abortion.
"Hey, I need some."
you left something there.
Yeah.
Hey, look,
Yeah.
I'm going to
finish
leave a
the
bad
job?
Yelp review if you don't get this baby out.
Yeah.
Right.
This half baby.
All
out.
of it.
Yeah. No, are you
flags.
saying there's no place to get an abortion in Las Vegas?
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying you make it sound like, oh, I'm just going to go back and ask for cheese on my cheeseburger.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying wherever you started, you want to go finish the gig.
I would
right?
imagine, but this is like, that kind of blew my mind when I found this out like last week, that's a thing that actually happens apparently.
Yeah. How
somewhat
do you make a
frequently.
terrible thing more worse? Is do that.
Yeah, let's just make this even worse. Well, and it's not like you would just know
Yeah, until some complications.
until like, yeah, you have the complications, or you have some kind of other exam or something, and they're like, oh, by the way, a little footy foot stuck up in there.
Yeah.
We'll fetch that out.
Yeah. How are we doing, Lem?
Just
Is
thought
this,
I would drop like the
We're doing great.
grossest
Soaking this,
message.
you're soaking it all in.
It's like I need
Yeah,
to
Lem's
leave.
just nodding his head like,
It's just the human experience, culture, society, government, everything's so complicated. And actually, I think that's an interesting concept. Is society too complicated for humans?
Yes.
I would say, yeah.
I think the smaller society you are in, the less complicated it will be. I think if you can keep your little group small, I think people that live in small towns, when there's a suicide, it makes the front page. Okay. When there's a suicide in Vegas, nobody gives a fuck unless it's attached to somebody famous, it's, or unless it's done in a grandiose, like somebody jumps off the stratosphere, but they're like, another one. We don't know their name. We're like, another one. If it happened in,
No, we're not allowed to report on that in Vegas.
well, I'm just okay. Well, if it happened in Wiki Up, Arizona, we're like, oh man, Ted just jumped off the Burger King. You know what I mean? Like,
Which Ted? It's
you're
Wiki
right,
Up.
right, exactly. Yeah.
Ted
Which
Johnson
Ted?
or Ted?
It's Wiki Up. There's probably a few Teds and a few Bobs.
Yeah, which Ted?
That's about
Bearded
it.
Ted. All right.
With the all beard or the one with the fucked
Yeah,
up
exactly.
face?
The one with the half gray beard, Ted. Oh, half
yeah.
gray
Now you're
beard,
being
Ted.
racist
Oh
against
man,
our
he's
rednecks.
good.
It's a great place to stop and get gas.
He's a good man. that
You're
dude.
oppressing the heartbeat of America right now.
But yeah, dude, it's like, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, so I just think that we were talking about the happiness index, the higher the suicide rate when you live in a better.
Well, it's 'cause Burger King sucks now.
Well, I'm just saying by what
That's
metric.
what's
though?
increasing the suicide rate.
Yeah, Burger King used to be good.
What I have found is this.
I don't know who still goes there.
What I have found is this: is if I'm happy, I don't care what the hell's going on. as long as I have some kind of control in what's happening. It's like you're talking about tax dollars, and yes, does it upset me? Could I look at all the taxes that they took out and get mad every single time? I can get mad, but what am I gonna do about it? You know?
Does it make you mad that I waste your tax dollars daily doing my job?
No, I like what you do. You're helping our veterans.
I just like telling people that's what I do.
Oh yeah,
is just waste tax dollars.
Right. But that's what I'm saying.
Because sometimes I do.
Right.
Sometimes I play solitaire and I don't even like it.
But the thing is, though, is it's like that's a needed thing. That's a needed thing. But unfortunately, there's going to be some dick that's going to go, okay, let's see how she follows her day. And they're going to like, try and do some investigation to ruin this thing that's actually helping people. It's helping society.
It's unfortunate that there is a need for what I do.
Are you on a federal budget? Is there federal money that pays for your job? I would complain that federal government employees in general are some of the least productive people in America.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
It's like what do you call it? The union. I mean, it's just. Yeah,
it's not even just the union. It's the structure. It's the systemic issues, and they get in the way of people who are trying to do their job, just doing their job. So, like, if I have, my guys, they live on campus. They live in my program. I do rehab for like drug, alcohol, gambling, addiction. And when they're done with their treatment there, the next logical step is, okay, let's find you a place to live. So you have a comfortable place to live, and let's pair you up with a person that you're going to be seeing on an outpatient basis regularly. Maybe you'll go to like a group or two a week, and then you'll see this therapist every month. That doesn't happen. Like there's no just seamless, easy transition to be like, now you're going to be seeing this person. Let's do a warm handoff. Let's let you meet them. You're going to be going to this group every week.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen because there's so many things in the way. There's so many barriers.
Have to get washed.
You have to put in the correct thing. There has to be availability. Nobody works at this clinic. Oh, we don't take them because they have this diagnosis.
Finding a therapist in general in Vegas is damn near impossible.
Yeah. And then good luck staying clean if you don't have a place to live. And that's a huge problem out here. That's like, for me with what I do, I will still say that is the number one issue out here is the housing.
Oh yeah, we have a housing shortage.
We have a housing shortage. We have
for people that need it though.
Inadequate housing.
Yeah.
We have guys that are 100% service connected and they can't even afford an apartment.
No, yeah. Definitely not.
And we have so many of these guys that are, if they could just have a stable place to stay and they didn't have to go and chill on Fremont, where somebody's literally shoving some meth in their face and being like, hey, this is better than the existence you have right now.
If only the government can get involved and make housing prices cheaper.
I would be really happy with just
That's
like,
the worst thing that could possibly happen.
Give me an abandoned apartment building where I can just throw these guys for a year.
Yeah.
Until they can get on their feet. Just one. That would be cool. That'd be super cool.
And I think that's where, you obviously, I'm a capitalist, I believe in capitalism, but I mean, that's the dark side of capitalism. Capitalism is always like on the move, on the move, on the move, on the move. Well, people get left behind. People get grinded up in the gears, and we don't understand what those people, the impact that they have on society, just seeing them, and then let's just say something awful happens to them. It's just like, it's just crazy how we're all tied into one another, man. I really do believe that. I believe that we're all kind of tied into everybody's thing. And I think if one person's going through those type of problems, they're also affecting like probably 15, 20 other people deeply infecting these people, but thanks to their problems. And how much of those problems, how much does that stress get pushed out to 15, now all of a sudden it's like more people that are also feeling this.
I don't want other people's problems and stress to become my problems and stress.
Right. But they do. You're over here freaking out about someplace halfway across the world.
I wasn't freaking out. I was proclaiming.
Proclaiming.
You didn't see it. You didn't see it, but Lem just injected you with something and you calmed right down. So it was.
I can tell you exactly what was in that. You have a good nap.
Yes.
You got a song for it and everything.
So we're at about 8 minutes left. Is there any final thoughts, conclusions on the conversation that we had today?
I thought this would be a lot more funny since we had an alleged comedian here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
An
that.
alleged, Jesus.
I was
thought I was
looking
seeing some
forward to like some
some
jokes
singers.
and some zingers, and it was just like, no, the world sucks. Like,
No,
well, yeah, we
You
know.
have me involved. That's what it goes to.
I know. Lem's like, but let's talk about something sad. Okay. And then Emmett's over here like, I'm going to spout some BS.
It was not BS. It's how the world should be.
Okay.
How
Yes.
the world should be. Whoa.
Yes, Emmett.
Boy,
Okay.
how many...
I think we have a flag for you. There's some
I
red
think
and black
Cobra
on
Commander said the same exact thing.
He wasn't all wrong.
it. I mean, Thanos had a point.
Right, yeah. It's the worst way it should be.
You know, it's unfortunate.
I don't know. My closing thought is I think it's always important to push for a better world, but I'm realizing that the harder we push, the more problems we could create. If we could just push the needle just a little bit and understand that it's about the future instead of right now. But I just don't think human beings can grasp that.
This is why I care about smart elementary school kids.
Why is that?
We need
'Cause that's
smarter
how it
kids.
starts.
Okay, yeah, exactly. You know, but again, it's like, but how do you talk a person into believing that? Look, you might be dead and buried, but this move that you're making right now and the restraint that you're showing right now is going to benefit your children's children by 1 billion. Like, how do we do that?
That's not, I would say that's not your responsibility. You know, it's.
Oh, I'm not saying it's my responsibility.
Not like your
I'm just
personal
saying,
responsibility, but you know, if we're looking at how do we make lasting, impactful change, we have
Teach
to
them how to cross the street
Well,
responsibly.
But like, do it yourself. Like, you have to make your own. What does it be? The change you want to see. Like, you have to make your own lasting change. Like, it's really easy to blame the homeless guy for being homeless, to blame the rape victim for being raped. But like, what are you doing to change your own little bubble in the world and make that a better place? And I think if everybody just focused on that,
and that's
then
my
we
point.
wouldn't have a lot of issues. And it's not for me to say what you need to do to make the world more impactful. I need to do what I need to do to make my little corner of the universe more impactful. And you're going to do whatever you want to do, but I'm going to make my little corner
How would you
more
make
impactful.
how would you make your corner more impactful?
Well,
She
for
needs
my
a- she
little
needs an
corner,
Just
Apartment
little
building.
things.
it's a
Just
small little corner. Start
She
to
needs an
diet and
abandoned
exercise.
apartment building.
yeah.
Well, and for me, I mean, that's what I'm doing with
Yeah.
like my program is expanding, and that's what I'm advocating for, is that we have an actual domiciliary, because that is what I see will be impactful for the population that I work directly with.
saw
Do
one
I need
near,
more detox? No, I don't need more detox. I need a place for these guys to stay so that they're not just going in and out of acute hospitals all the time. Like, that's a shitty life.
But at the same time, you are contributing, though, because there's someone who cares. And because there's people like you out there that will always push the needle in the right direction in one way or another. And I always believe that. And it's like when you were talking about just little things, I was talking about things like pick up your dog shit. Hold a door open for someone. Give someone the benefit
you're
of the
asking for a
doubt.
lot, bro.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
The dog shit thing is big, though. Like, that's really
It's
like,
a big thing, but it's so
or they
little.
leave it in the bag on the concrete. Like, what?
Yeah,
You put
what
it
do
in the
you
bag.
do? You picked it up and then you tied it off and you threw it on the ground.
I'm all for executing
I'm
those
glad
people
that
immediately.
I'd rather step on the bag that's got shit in it than the shit itself. So I mean, at least it's not sticking to my shoe. But you're still a fuckface, you know. And it's just
This is the inconsiderate person that Lim has been talking about.
Or
insane.
the left lane is for passing.
Yes.
Legally,
Yes.
it is in every state in this country.
But it's just like, but
Not
that's
for
it.
chilling.
Just if you could just like if maybe I don't know if somebody if you're in an apartment and you're blaring your music and you know you have a downstairs there, put your fucking headphones on. Just little things, consideration. But I don't know. I don't know how you make selfish people just stop being selfish.
Eventually, they just die.
Yeah.
It's rap music. Rap music's the problem.
Get out.
Rap music, Jesus.
Oh,
You went full Karen there. I'm gonna tell you.
Is that our concluding note?
Yes, that's our
we used to have the
concluding note.
ability to cut off his mic.
Here, actually, this is kind of stupid, but I'm going to read off all the topics that I wrote down that we could have discussed. And actually, amazingly, I think we only started with one and we just...
That we could have discussed, but
Yeah.
no.
So I'm going to go down the huge list. Is our world too complicated for humans, which includes society, culture, rules, social norms, morality, technology, emotions, etc.?
Yes.
Religion, good, bad, or what?
Bad.
Can humans get rid of all racism?
No.
What makes a good human?
Dog poop.
Society,
Hygiene.
Society, government so large, individual actions so small. When is greed too far? When does a joke go too far?
Kigger.
Never. When people stop laughing.
BTS in Vegas.
What is that?
BTS, the Korean boy band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
keep
thought
them
this was
out.
like a virus.
Like, whoa.
Sorry.
It is if you considering.
No,
your
that's my
taste in
racist
music,
comment.
you know, it's just-
Are they the source of the transgender problem?
are they?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you said transgender problem?
Yeah. We have a problem with people trying to figure out genders and racing in the wrong sport.
I think you have a problem with people that you don't understand.
I have
And that's a you problem.
I have a problem with testosterone being a physical difference in sports.
It is. There's also a lot of people that suddenly give a shit about women's sports that never did. And I think it has nothing to do with the sports and everything to do with their discomfort with transgender people.
So it's good.
That's my opinion.
Well, I wouldn't mind if they weren't winning.
I would ask the people who are in the sport.
Yeah, they don't like it. They don't like being third. They were trying to go first.
I've heard more of just like old dudes talking about it than the actual athletes themselves. So
Yeah, I think it's a very rare thing. Like it's not happening all over the U.S.
it is, and yet people be giving a shit.
Oh, okay.
I like how I've only gone through a fourth of the.
I was over here like, why are mom and dad fighting? I don't know what the hell's going on here.
I will always lay into Emmett any given opportunity,
I'm a victim.
especially when he starts just talking some dumb shit.
Ukraine, Russia, U.S.
I think you're disqualifying all of my statements.
I might be categorically, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I own my shit.
Yeah. Shit might be the right word.
Oh,
Do you have hope in humanity?
No.
What would AI most likely lead, or would AI most likely lead to human extinction?
Yes.
AI question mark, meaning of life question mark. Should humans waste less or big corporate worse? Corporations? I don't know what I wrote there. Should humans waste less or big corporation worse?
We should waste less.
We should definitely waste less. We waste a lot.
Are humans innately too selfish?
Yes.
What type of government is best?
None.
What's the best economy?
None. I don't know. I'm just rapid firing here.
yeah.
Capitalism with socialism question mark. Internet age, less socializing in person. Video games consuming a lot of people's time. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. Women love clothes.
Like as a couple or
no, just separate.
superpower couple?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
okay.
You're unbeatable.
Women love
Right.
clothes, nails, and purses. Men love cars. And the list. That's
Let's debate that.
well, I
Look
mean,
at my nails.
I thought that one was interesting.
like the
just
stereotype.
the stereotypes, and then like what is it is it almost biological that women go towards that, and then biological for men to go towards cars? It was just kind of a
I would say it's more of like a cultural grooming thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that.
Yeah. I mean, like I wasn't given toys that were cars as a kid. I was given like Barbies and everything from the pink aisle. I was like, this is stupid. And then I got like the Barbie Ferrari and I was like, fuck yes.
all right. Hard stop at 2.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you so much
Cheers.
for your time.
A pleasure.